Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 2, Text 47. Chapter is entitled Maharaj Nimi meets the 9 Yogendras. Archayam yeva haraye, Pujam ya shaddaye hate, Natad bhakteshu chanyeshu, Sabhakta prakruta smrita. Archayam yeva haraye, Pujam ya shaddaye hate, Natad bhakteshu chanyeshu, Sabhakta prakruta smrita. Archayam yeva haraye, Pujam ya shaddaye hate, Natad bhakteshu chanyeshu, Sabhakta Prakrita Smrita. बोलिए. और कोई? Anyone else? What to mood meaning translation purport by disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada की, Srila Prabhupada disciples की जय. Archayam, deity, eva, certainly, haraye, to Lord Hari, pujam, worship, yah, who, shaddaya, faithfully, ihate, engages, na, not, tat, of Krishna, bhakteshu, towards the devotees, cha, and anyeshu, towards people in general, saha, he, bhakta prakrita, materialistic devotee, smrita, is called. Translation: a devotee who faithfully engages in worship of the deity in the temple but does not behave properly towards other devotees or people in general is called a prakrita bhakta, a materialistic devotee, and is considered to be in the lowest position. Purport is long, so we'll read half of the purport. Kindly pay attention because it's very long. Srila Madhvacharya comments that one in the lowest stage of devotional service faithfully worships the deity in the temple, but is not aware that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually all-pervading. This same mentality can be seen in the Western countries, where people commit all types of sinful activities in their homes and in the street, but then piously go to a church and pray to God for mercy. Actually, God is in our home, God is in the street, God is in our office, God is in the forest, God is everywhere. And therefore, God should be worshipped everywhere by the process of devotional service at His lotus feet. As stated in verse 41 of this chapter, Kam vayam agnim sharilam mahimcha jyotim satvani disho drumadin sarit samudramscha hare sariram yat kimcha bhutam pranamedananya. A devotee should not see anything as being separate from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Either fire, air, water, earth, the sun and other luminaries, all living beings, the directions, trees and other plants, the rivers and oceans, whatever a devotee experiences, he should consider to be an expansion of Krishna. Thus, seeing everything that exists within creation as the body of the Supreme Lord Hari, the devotee should offer his sincere respects to the entire expansion of the Lord's body. This is the vision of the Mahabhagavat devotee of the Lord. Srila Madhvacharya states that a Madhyamadikari, a devotee in the intermediate stage, sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the cause of all causes and therefore offers his love to the Lord. Such a devotee is a sincere friend of other devotees, is merciful to the ignorant and avoids the atheists. Nonetheless, tad vashatvam na janati sarvasya jagato pitu. His realization of the all-pervading feature of the Supreme Lord is imperfect. Although he does have a general sense that everyone is ultimately meant to be a devotee of the Supreme Lord, and he tries to use everything in the service of Krishna, aware that everything belongs to the Lord, he may be bewildered by association with the atheistic men. Srila Madhvacharya says, Archayam eva samstitam Vishnum gyatva tad anyatra naiva janati ya puman. A Kanishtatikari has no idea that the Supreme Lord has the power to exist outside a church or temple. Furthermore, being puffed up by his own ceremonial worship, Atmano Bhakti Darpata, a Kanishtatikari cannot imagine that anyone is more pious or religious than he, and he is not even aware that other devotees are more advanced. Thus, he cannot understand the Madhyama or Uttama standard of devotional service. And sometimes, because of his false pride, he criticizes the more advanced devotees of the Lord, neglects them, or simply has no understanding of their exalted position as preachers or completely self-realized souls. Another symptom of the Kanishtadhikari is that he is infatuated by the material qualification of so-called great materialistic persons. Having a bodily concept of life himself, he is attracted by the material opulence and thus minimizes the position of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. Such a Kanishtadhikari therefore is disturbed if a second-class devotee criticizes the non-devotees of the Lord. In the name of compassion or kindness, a Kanishtadhikari approves of the non-devotional activities of such materialistic men. Because the Kanishtadhikari is ignorant of the higher realms of devotional service and the unlimited transcendental bliss of Krishna consciousness, he sees devotional service merely as the religious aspect of life, but thinks that life has many enjoyable and worthwhile non-devotional aspects. Therefore, he becomes angry when second-class devotees who are experiencing that Krishna is everything criticize the non-devotees. Madhvacharya says that such a person, because of his rudimentary faith in Krishna, is considered a devotee, but he is Bhaktadama, a devotee on the lowest standard. If such materialistic devotees follows the rules and regulations of deity worship, they will gradually be elevated to a higher standard and eventually become pure devotees of the Lord, unless they commit offenses against other devotees, in which case their advancement will be checked. Srila Madhvacharya states, Tad Bhaktanam Upekshakha Kuryur Vishnav Apidvesham. Those who neglect or show indifference to the devotees of the Lord are to be considered offenders at the lotus feet of Vishnu. Similarly, those who disrespect the demigods will become bereft of devotional service and be forced to rotate again and again within samsara, the cycle of birth and death. Pujya Devas Tata Sada. The demigods are always to be offered respect, since they are devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If someone is envious of the demigods, he is to be considered envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, one who offers sincere respect to the demigods is considered to be respecting the will of the Supreme Lord. A Vaishnava does not foolishly think that there are many gods. He knows that there is one Supreme Personality of Godhead. But as stated many times in Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord has a mission within this material world, which is to reform the conditioned living entities through the cruel laws of nature. The Lord's mission within this world, the demigods are considered to be the limbs of the Lord's body. As it is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Kamaista istyarthagyana prapadyante anya devata tam niyamam astaya prakritya niyata swaya. Those whose minds are distorted by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. But there are many examples of devotees who worship the demigods to get benedictions for serving Lord Krishna. The gopis worship the demigods to achieve Krishna, and similarly Rukmini Devi on the day of her marriage engaged in such demigod worship, her only goal being Krishna. Even today, the preachers of the Krishna consciousness movement cultivate important people with all kindness and diplomacy, so that such wealthy or influential people will engage their resources in the devotional service to Krishna, to glorify Krishna all over the world. Similarly, offering all respects to the demigods so that they will give facility for the devotional service of Krishna is not against the bhakti marg, although nowadays such demigod worship has also deteriorated. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended Harinam Sankirtan, chanting the holy names of Krishna, as the only realistic process for this age. Nonetheless, a devotee of the Lord should not misinterpret Bhagavad Gita's injunction against demigod worship as a license to offend the demigods who are bona fide Vaishnavas. Srila Madhvacharya notes, Vishnur upekshakam sarve vidvishanti adhikam sura patat avasyam tamasi harina taischa patita. All the demigods are extremely inimical to one who does not respect Lord Vishnu. Such a person is pushed into the darkest regions by the Lord as well as by the demigods. From this statement by Srila Madhvacharya, the devotional sentiments of the demigods can be understood. It is stated that in the supreme liberation achieved by an Uttamadhikari, the most exalted devotee of the Lord, the devotee enjoys transcendental bliss in the direct association of the Supreme Lord and the demigods. Okay. The next part can be read by some other devotee tomorrow. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadameham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunadanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalitan Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Namavum Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravari Pracharire Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarini Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namini Goratvise Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Nilachala Nivasaya Rityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannadaya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodito Gaudodaya Pushpavanto Chitra Shando Tamonudo. Hare Krishna. So in these verses are certainly beyond our comprehension because they are speaking about Madhyamadhikaris. And Prabhupada once said that in our movement, nobody is a Kanishta Adhikar, like that he said. Of course, that does not mean everybody is Madhyama, but somewhere we are somewhere in between Kanishta and Madhyama, hopefully. But Madhyama is a very high standard in that sense. There is no definition as to, at least I haven't seen any definition as to Kanishta is till which level. Because we know 9 stages of devotional service, right? Kanishta is till which level, Madhyama is till which level, Uttama is till which level. I haven't seen any definition like that till now, till date. So there are some devotees who say probably this is like this, but there is no such definition clearly. And the definitions given by Kanishta, Madhyama and Uttama are different in different places. Prabhupada gives a very practical definition in Trap Instruction, most practical definition. He says that anyone who chants Hare Krishna once and who are attracted to Krishna consciousness and who are appreciating Krishna consciousness, like he gives the example of George Harrison. He says he's a Kanishta, he's attracted to Krishna consciousness, therefore, he's appreciating Krishna consciousness, he's a devotee of the Lord, so he started practicing devotional service. So, so that's how he's on the practice of devotional service. But then someone who has become fixed up, Jai Shri Nitai Gauranga ki, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai. But someone who has become fixed up and is regularly practicing devotional principles, the bhajana kriya, in the sense that the process of without any time for Maya and 24 hours one is engaged in Krishna consciousness and diligently, such a person is considered to be Madhyama. And then Prabhupada gives definition that someone who is always thinking about how to expand this, who chants Hare Krishna very attentively, 16 rounds, and who's always thinking about how to expand Krishna consciousness throughout the world is an Uttama. Like that, Prabhupada gives simple definition. So like that. And in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, some different other definition is given. Here in Bhagavatam we see this definition is given. But one thing is for sure, for a devotee who wants to advance from Kanishta to Madhyama, association of devotees is considered to be the most important aspect. Because in Kanishta we have faith in deity or faith in holy name, faith in Krishna directly basically. Different aspects of Krishna, but Krishna directly, or faith in Guru directly. But we may not sufficiently appreciate devotees. So that is considered to be Kanishta platform. So, and Madhyama is a platform where one appreciates Krishna, one appreciates devotees, and one also discriminates amongst devotees. Like in Upadesh Amrita it is explained that there are 3 kinds of devotees. So one discriminates amongst devotees and offers respect to devotees as per their advancement in devotional service. Amanina manadena means no respect for oneself. All respect for others does not mean equal respect for everyone. Respect is offered as per discrimination. Someone who is Uttam Adhikari, as Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu speaks about it, Upadesh Amrita speaks about it, someone who is Uttam Adhikari, one offers one's life. Someone who is Madhyam Adhikari, one offers one's, one goes and associate with them. And someone who is Kanishta, then one offers respects from distance, like that. So this is elaborated in Upadesh Amrita. Now a devotee, now one may question that Lord Chaitanya speaks about Trinadapi Sunichana, then why we should discriminate? We discriminate because we want to associate with devotees and because we also want to render devotional service. So in order to associate with devotees, we have to discriminate, and in order to render service, we have to discriminate. Uttamas may not discriminate because they see everyone as connected to Krishna. There are 2 people who don't discriminate. Uttamas do not discriminate, and Kanishtas they also do not discriminate. In the sense that they think that I am directly connected to Krishna, so therefore they don't take that laborious endeavor to discriminate. So now one may question, Prabhuji, you are saying that we should discriminate, in the sense that Shastras say that we should discriminate, Madhyama discriminates. Then it is also said that we should not be judgmental. What is the difference between the two? What is the difference between not being judgmental and at the same time being discriminatory? Discriminatory from the eyes of scriptures. Discriminatory is being from the eyes of scriptures. Judgmental means we are trying to impose some material or appreciate or put down depending upon our own material disposition. Either we appreciate someone, like in this particular purport it is said that, right? Kanishta Adhikari is infatuated by the material qualifications of so-called great materialistic persons, like that. So either someone is appreciated too much or put down, or depending upon our material disposition, if one is put down or appreciated, or so that is called as being judgmental. Therefore, being judgmental is not word generally much used within scriptures. That is a word which is generally used by modern psychologists. Because scriptures are very clear that one has to be discriminative, in the sense from the eyes of scriptures. But one should not put down other devotees. One should be compassionate, or one should be, Bhagavatam also speaks about it. Narada Muni, he tells Dhruva Maharaj that there are 3 types of devotees. Those who are juniors, one has to be compassionate. Those who are seniors, one should render service. And those who are equals, one should befriend. So to be able to understand who is senior, who is equal, and who is junior, we have to be discriminative naturally. And then we follow the prescription accordingly. So like that. So Kanishta to Madhyama is the one advances from being a Kanishta to come to Madhyama. One has to associate with devotees, appreciate devotees and associate with devotees, and in this way one comes ahead. Bhakti Rasamrita Bindu speaks about what is Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti is, and what is Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, one has affection for Krishna naturally, and that is the inspiration. Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, one is inspired by scriptures and one is inspired by Guru's instructions. Guru means all types of Gurus, all devotees. So that is how one advances in devotional service. One advances in Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, like that, Sadhana Bhakti. So in this way one advances. So devotees also give an example. So we advance both because of appreciation of devotees, encouragement of devotees, and also criticism of devotees. Sometimes devotees criticize, that is also helpful. Sometimes devotees appreciate, that is all the more helpful. Appreciation is very much helpful. Even great devotees, Prabhupada himself, Prabhupada in 1970, when disciples were disrespecting him, he was saying, I am getting headache. And he said, I am getting so much headache that I am not able to focus on Bhagavatam translation. I am not able to write purports to Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada is Nitya Leela, Pravishta, he is descended. And he is also saying that, because I am being disrespected by my disciples, therefore I am getting headache, like that he is saying. Can you imagine? So certainly devotees need encouragement and appreciation. Lord Chaitanya himself, for that matter, what to speak of? Lord Chaitanya, who is Supreme Personality of Godhead, we know that story, right? And Lord Chaitanya, he came back from Gaya, he was exhibiting devotional symptoms, becoming mad. So somebody said, this person has some craziness in his mind. You apply Vishnu oil. Someone said, no, don't apply Vishnu oil, apply Shiva ghee. So like that, different people, one another person said, Arey, how these all things can rectify his behavior? You fill a pitcher with oil, big drum with oil, and make him sit inside for few hours. That will cool him down. Otherwise, all his life airs are in disarray. So how is it possible then? So certainly Mahaprabhu might not be happy with all these comments. So then Srivas had come. Sachi approached Srivas and she said, Srivas, please tell what has to be done. This person is behaving like this after coming from Gaya. Please tell what has to be done. He said, don't worry. He has attained ultimate perfection. This is desirable by Prahlad, Janaka, Bhishma, Brahma, Shiva and all of them. So he has attained ultimate perfection. Do not worry. Do you know what Lord Chaitanya says at that time? He says, Srivas, had you not spoken this, I was so discouraged. Had you not spoken this, I would have jumped in Ganga and committed suicide. Like that he says. Can you imagine? Even the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he wants that acceptance. What to speak of us? Naturally, we would need acceptance like that. So devotees need acceptance. So encouragement is very much required. Appreciation is also, criticism is needed. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, one time he was going on a procession. He was going on a parikrama something. He was walking. So regularly he used to walk. There used to be one person side. I heard this story somewhere. I heard this story somewhere like that. So but the principle is quite applicable. So regularly, whenever he used to walk, there used to be one person behind, nearby. He used to continuously speak something against him. Some roadside person used to continuously. So after some time, the disciples became agitated. Who is this person who is always speaking nonsense here? So some disciples are very. There used to be one disciple. Our Prabhupada took Sadhyas initiation. His name is Keshav Maharaj, Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj. So he is from Zamindari family. So he used to protect the properties of Gaudiya Math. That was his service. So he used to take a horse, every day he used to take a horse and a lot of properties. So he used to take a horse, ride the horse, go around all the properties, and see if somebody is trying to encroach or anything like that, and he used to take care like that. So one time some particular community, they tried to encroach some property. So he caught that person, he tied him to a tree, and he bet him left, right, left, right, he bet him. So at that time it was told Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was not happy. He said that, you can deal with him heavily, but not like this. So like that. Anyway, so some of the disciples, they were getting agitated. Why this person is speaking like this? Always whenever Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is walking. So then they said, we'll remove him. From tomorrow he can't stand here. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, no, let him stay there. He said, because everyone is appreciating, there should be some devotees, some people who should criticize me. That will be helpful for my devotional service. Like that he said. With Parashar Bhatta, there is one story. He used to go in front of Vishnu and he used to say that, oh Vishnu, your Supreme Personality of Godhead, you're standing in, you're lying on the casual ocean, like that. He used to offer a lot of prayers. And then the etiquette is that once we offer prayers, and then we also tell our humble position. So, and after speaking his prayers, then he would say, but as far as I am concerned, I am a fallen person, I have this problem, I have that fault, this fault. So there used to be one person who used to come in by sideway and stand nearby, and he used to say, whenever he used to say, I have this fault, that person used to say, yes, this is true. He would say, I have this fault. He would say, yes, this is true. So then he said to Vishnu, see, every day I am speaking, every day I am speaking my faults, but there was no witness. Today I have a witness also. So like that he said. So he appreciated it basically. So like that. There was another story of Parashar Bhatta only, I think. So he was speaking about glories of Vishnu like this, but then he was going on speaking glories of Vishnu out of his own ecstasy, out of his own affection for Vishnu. He was going on speaking. So but then another person had come, and all of a sudden he started insulting Parashar Bhatta. So then other disciples of Parashar Bhatta, they became angry. Our Acharya, he is appreciating Vishnu and in his personal love, and you are coming and disturbing him by criticizing him like this. What kind of person are you? Like that. Said, no, don't disturb him, let him speak, because till now I am only speaking glories of Vishnu, but I haven't spoken about myself, my faults. But today this person is coming and he is speaking about my faults. So he is completing my prayer, like that he said. So in that way, so it is helpful also. We have some devotees to criticize. So we should not, we should deal with it, but we should not take very heavy stances, because that will dissuade them from helping us in future. So we should be careful that to not take any heavy stance which may dissuade them from helping us in future, like that. So when we are criticized it, so its essence, generally there are two types of criticism which we encounter. One is positive criticism, when we see that when this person is criticizing, is we appreciate it in the sense that we try to see what is what faults we have or something like that. And another is negative criticism. Well, the person may be right, but we feel hurt. And we become agitated, we become disturbed. That certainly has to be thought, So then the person may be right or he may be wrong also. But we become hurt, we become agitated. So that shows there is some fault with us. So whether it is positive or negative criticism, whenever we receive criticism, there are three things which we have to do. First and foremost thing, instead of diving into thinking about whether the person is right or wrong, is to see our own reaction. How is my reaction? Whether I am disturbed or not. If I am disturbed, if I am hurt, if I am disturbed, if I am having a negative feeling, resentful feeling, bitter feeling, that shows that there are some shortcomings in our life. So instead of focusing on whether the person is right or wrong, or how the person is wrong, trying to prove how the person is wrong, one has to look at one's own faults, because the very fact one is disturbed says that one is filled with faults. Whether the criticism is right or wrong is a different question. That's a secondary question. The hurt feeling, the resentful feeling, bitter feeling or a feeling of anger or a feeling of animosity is sufficient to say that we are honeycombed with faults. As Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati says, I can't see faults in others. Instead of seeing whether that person is right or wrong, or how he is wrong or how he is right, first of all look into our own faults. I can't see others' faults because I am myself honeycombed with faults. Like that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati says. Of course, his Acharya, he doesn't have any faults, but it is a learning lesson for us. So whenever we are disturbed, it's essential to look at our own heart as to where is the disturbance coming from. What is my attachment which is being attacked, because of which the disturbance is occurring? Some attachment is being attacked, is being addressed, because of which the disturbance is occurring. So that is the first step. So whether irrespective of whether the criticism is positive or negative. So that is the first step which needs to be done. Second step is naturally to analyze, whether the criticism, what in it has value and what in it does not have value. What in it has to be taken seriously and what aspects of criticism can be neglected. So the second step will be successful only if the first step is done. Without doing the first step, if we jump to the second step, it will not be successful. It will only create a bitter feeling, or it will only create a resentful feeling, or it will only create an aura of superiority for us, but it will not be successful. The first step is accepting that I have a disturbance, I have a problem. Irrespective of whether the criticism has value in it or no value in it. The very fact it disturbed us says that I have a problem. So the problem has to be accepted. That is the first step. The second step is to analyze, whether the criticism is right or wrong, or how it can be addressed and all that. And the third step is also a very important step. Having done the two things, the third step is to address the criticism. So in this very 11th canto, after few verses will come to third chapter. 30th verse, it is explained that when there are differences amongst devotees, one should learn how to associate with devotees of the Lord. 11.3.30. One should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord by gathering with them to chant the glories of the Lord. This process is most purifying. As devotees thus develop their loving friendship, they feel mutual happiness and satisfaction. And by thus encouraging one another, they are able to give up material sense gratification, which is the cause of all suffering. So in the purport, if you can see, when we read, in the very beginning, Sridhar Swami writes that, so there are differences amongst devotees, and because there is no sufficient negotiation, there is no sufficient communication, so there are perceptions, and till the time the communication is not done, and we are afraid to do communication because we feel that if you do communication we may be exploited, because we do not have sufficient trust. There is a fear to communicate, because communication may result either in exploitation, or communication may result in someone putting us down, or finding our weakness and try to put us down or something like that. So these fears we are there, so therefore we are not wanting to communicate. But this verse explicitly says that one has to discuss one's differences and communicate one's differences. So whenever there is criticism, there is an opportunity to communicate. So we should pick up that opportunity to communicate. It's a good opportunity. Otherwise there is no reason. We can't just go and sit and try to start talking, what are they do. We can do that also if we have good relation. But otherwise, it's an opportunity to communicate when there is criticism. So now the problem is when there are differences, the differences remain, because everyone has different priorities. Even within Krishna consciousness, different priorities they may give to different aspects of devotional service in their life. So the differences will remain. So the hard part is to accept devotees with their differences. So I have my priorities, you have your priorities. 80% of our priorities match. 20% of our priorities have differences. So let us live together with those 20% differences. We can't have all 100% together, same priorities. That's not going to happen. So 80% priorities are together, similar, 20% priorities are different. Let us accept the differences and live together. So because of these 20% differences, we tend not to communicate. And that actually disturbs us the most. And that actually brings, perceptions, and that could also, if it becomes worse, it could also go to kutinati and diplomacy and all this, politics and all that. So if we want to protect ourselves from all these different things, then better have, a respectful communication based upon trust. Of course, there should be sufficient trust also to communicate. I am not denying all that. Otherwise, as we said earlier, if there is a trust, if there is a mistrust, whether this person may exploit my communication or whether this person will put down if I communicate, then probably it may not be successful. So that much trust should be there, that the person will not be exploiting the differences, or the person will not put us down because of the communication which we do. So that much trust should be there. Otherwise, we have to build the trust and then communicate. Without having that trust, it's difficult to. May not be advisable to communicate. But yes, it's very important. This verse it says very clearly, if one learns how to associate with devotees in this way, and then they gather together and chant the glories of the Lord, then such a process is very purifying, and it gives us the strength to give up our shortcomings. So like that it is explained, this particular verse. So in this way, basically we were discussing about 4 things. One thing is how encouragement is very important amongst association of devotees. And secondly, along with encouragement, we should also have criticism. So in case some devotees are there who are criticizing, we should not take a stand too strong that they may not criticize in future. We should take a stand sufficient so that there is respectful criticism later on also. So that is the second thing. And amongst, when there is criticism, we were discussing 3 things. First and foremost thing is, if it is creating disturbance, then it is very vital and important to look at our own heart, why the disturbance is being created. Secondly, if there is any value in the criticism, we have to accept whatever value is there. Thirdly, it's an opportunity to communicate. So let us utilize that opportunity. Hare Krishna. We have some 5 minutes remaining. Someone has questions or comments, most welcome. Yes.
Is criticism is same as feedback or?
We can, yeah. Different types of criticism. Feedback also is one of them. Feedback is generally offered in a very protected.
Criticism is often used in a negative connotation.
Yes, I am just addressing it. Feedback is generally offered in a protected environment. So generally when one offers feedback, one is thoughtful whether this person will take it, not take it, and very thoughtful, and he will make all arrangements, or he will make all thought process by which the feedback is offered, so that it is positively taken and implemented. So that's a good point of feedback. Criticism is generally spontaneous. Criticism is generally spontaneous. So, and feedback, it is little easier to take, in the sense that someone is thoughtful and coming and creating that such an environment, it is little easier. But criticism, being spontaneous, it is difficult to take, and that's what tests our inner metal, like that. Yeah, true. Yeah, if it is positive criticism, we can say it is considered to be feedback. But when we are speaking about criticism, we are speaking about both positive and negative. Because something which is negative, which we perceive, may be reality. According to us, it may be negative criticism, in the sense that the other person may be speaking out of his shortcomings. But it could be a reality. There could be some, or there could be 50% reality. There may not be 100% reality. There could be 50% or 25%, 10%, some percent. Surely there should be some 10%, some percent reality. In general, amongst devotee circle. Like that. Yeah. In spite of their differences or shortcomings, what did you say?
Without being judgmental.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you are staying in a group circle, so we see some balls, we know there is shortcomings, so I have to see always.
So for being without judgmental, we need to have compassion. Compassion in the sense, we need to have that affection, basically. So if we want to help someone or something like that, the first prerequisite is affection. If there is no affection, then it will not be much useful. So like that. So it's like that. That's what I understand. Yeah. ठीक है, we'll end it here. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय. प्लास्टिक है क्या? हाँ, नहीं लग नहीं रहे इसे. भगवान को तो नहीं पहना है ना.